Good afternoon, and welcome to K2's Road to Excellence with Excel, Part 14, and Payment Evolution. This is Alan Salmon, and I'm pleased that so many of you are with me today. A couple of housekeeping before we get started. First of all, my good friend Marilyn Benninger is on the line, and she's your backup person for technical issues and for handling questions, which I will get to in a minute. Your microphones are muted for obvious reasons. Before we begin, just a note that within 10 days of today, we will send you the recording, my teaching notes, my teaching files, the answers to all of the questions, and your CPD certificate. As I indicated, please submit your questions anytime through the chat window. What happens is that after the webinar, Marilyn collects all of the questions and sends them to myself and Andrea, and we reply. She puts it into a nice package, and it's included in the recording package that you get. At the end, there is a survey which we would ask you to please fill out. It's very short, 6 questions. And now, before I get started on my piece today, a little bit about polling questions. 4 times today, Marilyn will stop Andrea and myself and put up a polling question. For those of you new to the webinar series, that's a multiple choice question, usually 4 possible answers. You don't have to get the answers right. What you do have to do is select one of the answers and click on submit, because that timestamps your file, and we know that you are paying attention at that time. If you're recorded as answering 3 of the 4 questions, you will get a CPD certificate for 1 hour of verifiable CPDs. If not, it'll be 1 hour of non-verifiable. And now let's move on to my topic for today. And I'm going to take you way back before a lot of you were born, and that is in the 1980s. And I'd love to see a hands up for those of you that use Lotus 123. But in those days, charting was incredibly complex. I remember agonizing over charting. Today in Excel, as I'm going to show you today, it's a piece of cake. So Marilyn, without further ado, will you put up the first polling question, please?
Absolutely. Good morning or afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining us today. You should now be seeing on your screen a blue window, and we're asking a question about charting. We're going to ask you, have you ever done charting in Excel? Your choices are never, sometimes, when I need to, because I'm a charting guru. Maybe you use Word or PowerPoint, or none of the above. We might have asked the question twice, Alan, but that's all right. We keep our polls open until we have at least 85% answers, and we're right there now. So I'm going to count you down to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm closing the poll and sharing the results with you, Alan.
Well, obviously people noticed that my double entry, so they only answered at 1. And once again, we got the hotshots with us today. Welcome, and that's a compliment, by the way. So let me pull up the very first file that I want to deal with, and it's this one here. Now, there are a tremendous number of different chart types that we can do in Excel, and a couple that I'm going to show you that you can only do in Excel 2016. So I'm going to quickly run through them. What you're looking at right out of the bat is a vertical chart, or as we now call it, a column chart. Then we can move into a pie chart like that, and you notice that I have exploded one piece of the pie to break it down even further. No mysteries here. A line chart. And another variation of a line chart is an XY chart that is also called a scattergram. And then one of the most difficult charts to understand is a radar chart that looks like this. And it's difficult because as you move out, the numbers get greater. And it's putting that into perspective that is a challenge. In my long career, I think I have used radar charts once. Then we move to a bubble chart. Size of the bubble is the size of the data. Now, radar charts from here on in, I will not be showing you how to do these today. They're well beyond my 25 minutes, but I want to expose them to you. So if you need additional training on charts, we have that available in one of our paid webinars. Then we move to a thermometer chart that I kind of cool. So our funding goal is $1 million, total donations 500,000. Well, I need to update this. We did well over the last weekend, so now the number is this. And watch the thermometer. That's a great way to visually impact or create an impact statement. Then we can jazz it up even further with what we call a gauge chart. So sales date to budget, or year-to-date to budget, year-to-date is 75%. Let's make this 90%. And you'd see it move. And you could easily vary the colors. Then taking it up a notch, we get to what is called a tachometer chart or a TAC chart. Change this to 80%, and we get that. And by the way, I'd love to ask you what kind of chart you think these two are. And the answer is half a donut. And it takes me, well, about 10 minutes. It would take me half an hour to walk you through these three types of charts. Next on our agenda, we're starting to get into what we call dynamic charts. So what you see is a daily sales graph for the data that we've got here. And I am going to delete those. And do you see what happened? I've got data for 2. I've got a graph for 2. And if I added a third, I'd have 3 graphs and so on. It's not difficult. That uses the offset function, but an even cooler one is right here. All right. Now, those of you that were in attendance 2 weeks ago, remember that I spent about 10 minutes on forms, checkboxes, and so on. What I didn't show you was the form that is right here that has a 12 beside it called, because watch what happens when I change the number to 11 to 10 to 9 to 8, 7, 6, 5, and so on. So I would really start here, and then as I added the next month, we'd go here. How about checkboxes, which we did 2 weeks ago? So up here, I have 3 checkboxes. You notice currently, I've got a line chart for cash. There's my accounts receivable. There's my inventory. And this is done exactly the same way that I did the checkboxes with you last week. Next step is this, and I'm actually going to show you how to do this. And what we have on the left-hand side, which are the blue bars, is sales in thousands. What we have on the right-hand side is margin from 60% to 71%. Now, as you'll see when I do this, starting out, my margin rate is a single red line at the bottom of the graph. Why? Because the numbers run from 0 to 1, and it's pretty easy to change that so that it makes more sense by putting the margin rate as a secondary vertical axis. And now a couple of charts that are only available in 2016, what we call a waterfall chart, which is here. Now, normally you go from here up, but this one tracks the range from about 28,000 to 50,000 and so on. I've used it a couple of times. And in one of the survey reports that I did earlier this year, I used a funnel chart. So the highest number in the set is that wide, and in black, I've got the numbers. In the real world, I would have changed these to white. And again, that's only available in 2016. And the same thing with this one. I actually have the ability in both Excel 2013, 2016 to map my numbers. And that's done through a Microsoft product called Bing, which is their mapping device. That's not hard to do. Probably take me about 10 minutes to show you how to do this. And then for those of you in the pivot chart world, there's a pivot chart obviously constructed from the pivot data. So I hope you've seen in that short overview that we have a lot of choices. So the next challenge for us is this. When I come back to here, what chart type should I use? And there's some general rules of thumb, and I'm going to read this off to you. They're included in the little handout. When we're comparing items to other items, like this first quarter and so on, obviously column charts, bar charts, cylinder, cone, and pyramid charts are the recommended choice. If we're comparing data over time, like we are here with the line chart, then a line chart or an area chart is the best choice. If we're making use of data points like we're doing here, then we need to get into something like stack bar charts, stack column charts, and so on. So there's some general rules of thumb. Now let's get into the actual creation of a chart. Nothing magic about this. I'm tracking 3 divisions, quarter 1, quarter 2, and I do what you'd expect I would do. And you would also expect that I would go to insert, which I'm going to do. Now, for those of you on 2013 and 2016, you will have that icon called recommended charts there, and I'll come back to that in 7 or 8 minutes. For those of you on 10 and 7, don't feel left out because you get to select the type. There's no recommendation. So we'll do it that way. So I'm going to click on the column chart, and again, all I've got to do is hover over it, and I see what I'm going to get. So we won't be fancy today. Let's do a 3D column. And there we go. And let's move it over here. And let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now if I've selected the chart and not the elements, just clicking beside the chart title, notice up here that we have a chart tool. And when we click on it, we get a ribbon for charting. And guess what? You get to see what you get before you get it. And there's a couple of more down here. So I'll pick that one. Now, what other things can I do in this one here? Well, I could switch through columns and rows very easily. Notice that I have quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 along the bottom axis. Notice now that I have north, south, east, and west. And we typically, at least in my experience, I want it this way. Over here, we've got quick layouts. And watch the chart change as I hover over those. Sorry, I'll come back to that. There's a table underneath the chart. There's the data points at the top of the chart. And this, if I sometimes do this, but it takes a bit of work because you got to fiddle with all of those numbers to get them right in the right location. Just a plain, ordinary chart. The same thing here. Now, I don't have a chart title. Well, that would kind of be nice. So I go over here to add chart elements, and I go here to chart title, and I want it above the chart. Now, I could type in sales in thousands, or I go up here and, I highlight this, and I go up here and I type in equal to that. Well, that's pretty easy. Now, let's move to a key point in charting, and that is this. And I suspect many of you know this. If I change this data point, and I'm going to make it really big so you can see it jump, I'm going to make it 200. Whoops, not 2000. Watch this change, right? Well, that's kind of cool. It means that I don't have to update the chart. However, let's do an undo here. And let's do this. So I'm going to move this up to here. Notice that nothing changed. Why? Because Excel still thinks that my data is there. So what do I do about it? Well, one thing I can do about it is go to Chart Tools and select the data. And I want to add data. And the series name is pretty simple. It's West. The series values equal these 4 data points. And there we go, north, south, east, and west. But folks, that's a lot of work. So let me just do a bunch of undos here. There we go. So I'm going to take you back to, I forget, episode 6 or 7, when I dealt with data tables. So first step that I'm going to do is go to the Home tab, go over here, Format as Table, and I don't need something extravagant, so I do that. Okay? And now I do this. Watch the chart change. So just like pivot tables, my rule of thumb is before I ever create a chart, I will make sure the data set is a table. Just quickly, I mentioned an option here when we're creating a chart. So I highlight the data, and this time I go to Insert Recommended Charts. So I said only available in 13 and 16. And Excel takes a look at the data and gives me its best guess as to which one I want. And it gives me some choices. But obviously, that's the best one. So there we go. Now remember, for those of you that aren't on 2016, you can pick your charts over here. Now this is the 2-axis problem that I showed you in the types of charts. So this is pretty simple. It should be a line chart. And there it is. And notice now my point. Sales, perfect. But my margin rate is a red line. So what am I going to do about it? Well, I'm going to select that. I just clicked on it with my left mouse button. I'm going to right mouse click and go down to format the data series. And now look at the window. So do I want the margin rate to be on the primary axis like it is now? No, I want it to be on the secondary axis like that. So there's the percentage. Now the challenge with this is that it's very difficult for many people, including me, to understand this. So what I'm going to do is change, I'm going to select the blue one, and I'm going to change the chart type. So I click on chart type, and down here it says I want a line for both of them. Well, I don't want a line for the blue. I'm going to make it a column chart. Now that for me is much easier to understand. And remember, this is all documented in my little handout, and you will have these files. Now, one of our aims when we're charting is to communicate, and there are different ways of doing this. So I have two charts, exactly the same data, but look at the title on this one. And look at the title on this one. They're both driven from here. What will have more impact on somebody looking at a chart like this? The bottom one or the top one? So when I'm designing charts, yes, I want the detail to be in the chart, but I want to hit people right between the eyes with what I'm really saying with something like this. I can also do text boxes, insert a text box like that and put some numbers in. Or I can use contrasting colors. So I would identify just that and change the color. All right, let me wrap up with the final thing that I want to do. And that is this. I've got a chart here. And I want to get the chart and insert it into a Word document or a PowerPoint document. Pretty easy to do. I've got to select the chart. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go to my Word document, which is blank, and I've got a number of things of ways of dealing with it. Let's do the very simple paste, and there we go. But notice something. The formatting changed, color changed here. Now, the data's perfect. In other words, it's giving me what Word thinks the coloring should be, not what the coloring should be in Excel. So let's do that and go back. And this time, do a file. Sorry, this time do a paste. And you notice that I have 5 icons there above Paste Special. And notice that's the pure paste. But if I choose that one, I've got the original source formatting. If I choose this one, I'm linking the data so that if I update the Excel chart, it will update in Word. But notice the formatting hasn't come through. And that one will keep the source formatting and link the data. Like that. There we go. So folks, that's it for me. I hope I've conveyed the impression that charting is relatively simple and easy to do until you get into what we call dynamic charting. So Marilyn, time for my last poll, please.
Thank you, Alan. I think I share others' feedback to you that it's great to look over your shoulder and see your mastery at work. Thank you so much for what you did today. Last question, folks. We're switching gears a little bit. You should see a blue box on your screen about array formulas. We'd like to know if you've ever worked with array formulas. Maybe sometimes you have. Some of you might be a pro. And I think we've asked the same question twice. None of the above, but that's all right. Oh,
Well,
everybody's...
can I interject here?
Please.
The reason I'm putting none of the above is one of the attendees in their survey at the end of it says, why don't you put none of the above? Because a lot of the times it's none of the above. So I'm brain conditioned now to add a none of the above at the bottom. I'll pay more attention next time.
It's no trouble at all. We've had a great response to this one. It's already well past 90%, so I'm going to be closing the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and let's just see how we're doing today.
Oh, the number of pros has dropped. So as usual, this is an insight into my next webinar on September. And array formulas are very powerful tools. I gave you a taste of them 2 weeks ago, and I'll take it from there in September. So now it's time to do the handoff, Marilyn, to Andre.
All right, Andrea, I'm just going to be changing screen to you.
Thanks, Marilyn. Give me half a second.
Oh, we hear you loud and clear, and you have the comm.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alan. I learned so much from these webinars. It's just amazing. Your expertise is phenomenal. I really enjoy it. So thank you. I appreciate just being a part of it and watching your half. So thank you, everyone, for having us here. We are really excited to be here. My name is Andrea Morgan. I am a customer success specialist at PaymentEvolution. I am also a payroll specialist. I am waiting on my piece of paper that says that I'm officially PCP certified, but it's just a matter of waiting for it to come. So I'm really excited to talk to you today. We were here at the last session and we talked about some of the issues plaguing businesses. And today I want to talk about how you can increase your success using and looking at the advantages and disadvantages of in-house versus outsourced payroll. So let's get right into it. Today's agenda, we're going to do a quick recap of issues that are plaguing businesses because it really does flow into today's session as well. I'm going to talk about the definition of in-house versus outsourced and how we like to think about it. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the client outsourcing on their own. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of in-house payroll. We're going to talk about how to increase your business revenue, how PaymentEvolution can help. I have a very particular section on how to bill because a lot of people have questions about how to bill for additional services when we're not talking about just hourly billing anymore. So I have some insight into that, and then some contact information. I'm also going to go through a quick little slide demo of the program itself. So let's get right into it, and let's recap our issues plaguing businesses. So last week, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about some of the issues that are plaguing small businesses. So we like to think about time as money. I often do a lot of speaking engagements, and I often talk about time management. And I'm there for PaymentEvolution, but I really want accountants and bookkeepers to understand how valuable your time is and how valuable your client's time is. And so when we look at the issues that were plaguing small businesses, we looked at some of these statistics that were 40% of small business owners said they spent time fixing payroll errors. And errors lead to wasted time, which means wasting yours and your client's money. 20% of businesses said managing payroll was one of their top accounting challenges. And that's because when you make mistakes, and errors do happen, when you make mistakes, you spend a ton of time fixing them. And the hardest part for you as the accountant or bookkeeper is often these things don't come up until you're right in the middle of tax season, and all of a sudden your client talks to you about a major problem they have, and it's not just fixing the problem, it's finding out what happened and then how to fix it. And so your busiest time of year ends up being that much busier. lastly, an issue that can plague any business is when a business doesn't calculate remittances correctly and fails to remit the right amount to CRA, the penalties are huge. And this really leads you to having to fix the errors with CRA. And now your client is also on the CRA radar, which nobody wants to be. We want to get it right the first time. We want to do the best that we can for our clients. So before I move into talking about in-house versus outsourced, Marilyn, would you please put up my first poll question?
I'd be happy to do that. Thank you. So folks, there's the blue box again. We're asking you the question about how you currently process payroll for most of your clients. So we'd like you to be thinking about that. It might be manual. You might be using PaymentEvolution's great services. You might have another payroll service that you've been accompanying and using so far. Maybe your client does their own payroll, and there may be a few of you today on the call that don't assist your clients today with payroll. We're already at 82%. Everybody is wide awake today and happy to answer the poll questions. So I'm going to be counting you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm closing the poll now, and I'm sharing those results. Can you see those, Andrea?
I actually cannot.
All right, so let me just recap them for you. So 14% of the folks on the call today are doing manual calculation. You have 2% attendees that are using PaymentEvolution. Thanks for attending today. 51% are using a different payroll service. 22% have their clients do their own payroll, and 11% don't assist their clients at this time with payroll. Great results. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. I appreciate you recapping it for me. I'm not sure why I can't see that today. So I'd like to speak to some of the results and talk about, maybe your clients need some help. So thank you to the 2% who are using PaymentEvolution. To the 20% that their clients do their own payroll, maybe your clients need some help. Or if your client is outsourcing to another service provider, maybe they still need some help from your side. So let's talk about what the main topic that we're going with today, which is in-house versus outsourced. So we like to think of in-house as you. You are the person that has the direct relationship with the client. You are their trusted advisor. So when we talk about an in-house solution, we are referring to the accountant or bookkeeper being that solution and providing the service for them. When we talk about outsourced is when the client goes on their own to a third-party provider. So now that we understand what the definition is, I would like to talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of each. So first, outsourcing might seem like a great idea, especially for an accountant or bookkeeper who wants to be a little bit hands-off. Maybe you don't want to be responsible for payroll. There's deadlines, there's things that have to happen. And so a lot of the times it seems like it might be a great solution to just let the client deal with it on their own. But outsourcing can also have some major disadvantages. The first one is the control is not there. So you have absolutely no control over how the payroll is set up, how it's maintained, and if there's problems, all that is left for you is to clean up the mess. And again, it usually happens at tax time. The next thing that I find really interesting, and this particularly happens with managed payroll solutions. I see it a lot, and I never want to badmouth anybody out there. I think we're all, working hard, but some of the times there's more room for error when you look at a managed payroll solution that's not you, that is a third-party provider, because how they're structured generally is they have a single department that sets up your payroll when you start as a client. And there you've got some people who know what payroll rules are, and they know, tax law and things like that. But then what happens is your payroll then gets moved to a data entry level employee who's inputting your employees' hours and things like that. And the types of things that I've seen can happen is maybe there's changes to a tax law that could impact your client's payroll, and the data entry person is not aware of this, and it doesn't come in, and they don't see it, and they don't know what to do with it. Or I've seen things like employee changes are sent in to the data entry people with the employee's hours, and because the data entry person might not be familiar with all of it, it might not get actioned properly because they might not understand that this is going to impact their payroll. So if somebody's gone from a disability coverage or life insurance from a single plan to a family plan, these things can impact the employee's taxes, and if they're not actioned correctly, it might not happen, and sometimes that disconnect can cause this room for error. Lastly, when the client outsources, the data is not yours. So when the data is not yours, it actually belongs to the company that's running the payroll. So if the client leaves, they're going to have to pay to retrieve that data, most likely, and this is true with any program. But if you are the accountant or bookkeeper, you might not have any access to it other than what the client gives you. And so if you're working on something for them and you need an extra report, it really creates a lot of extra time and work for you to try and get that report directly from the client because you can't go to the source to get it. So as far as in-house payroll goes, let's talk about why maybe you should offer it if you're not doing it already. Well, first of all, you can take the power back by being the expert. Your client already comes to you for your expertise in accounting, bookkeeping, all of the things that they use you for, and they look to you as that trusted advisor. Why not let them pay you to be an expert in this as well? And so for those people whose clients are using other service providers or the clients doing it, this is something you can add to your feature set that will allow you to maintain control of the data and build your business. When you maintain control of the data, it's yours. Your client doesn't have to ask you for it. It's yours. It's you have all the information that you need to do their books, to do their taxes, prepare financial documents for the accountant if you're the bookkeeper. All of these things, it's right there at your fingertips. And so you have it and you can work with it as you need to. Lastly, if you offer an additional feature set that you're not currently offering to your clients, all of a sudden you can help your business grow with those individual clients, and in turn you're going to get more referrals. That's going to allow you to scale more and more, because when your clients are happy, they're going to tell people about it. And in a few slides I'm going to show you what the average business the average accountant or bookkeeper can increase their business by per client by offering payroll as part of a feature set. So who doesn't want to make more money? I know you want to hear more about increasing your business revenue, so I wanted to get a little bit deeper into this. So how can you use payroll to build your business? Well, extra offerings allow you to attract and retain clients. Retention is huge. The ability to set up a process and have your clients continue with that process year over year over year is a lot less work than getting new clients. So when you've got retention, you can focus on attracting new clients because your regular clients are very simple and easy to manage. There is a market for payroll. Every business needs it. If you've got one employee or you've got 1,000, you need payroll. Be that expert that your client already thinks that you are. I love the ability to maintain a frequent relationship with the client. The ability to maintain that frequent relationship is vital. So right now, if you're not providing ongoing services for your clients, other than bookkeeping at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, or taxes at year end, you're losing out on a lot of potential business revenue. Maybe your client doesn't want to go to a third-party provider to do their own payroll. Maybe they don't want to do it on their own, but they don't know where else to turn. By you offering this, you have increased your value to them tenfold. And this in turn turns into a long-term offering. The long-term offering keeps that relationship going. It keeps that retention going. And when they're happy, they're going to send more business your way. So before I go on to my next slide, Marilyn, if you wouldn't mind putting up my last poll question.
Thanks, Andrea. Happy to help.
Thank you.
We're going to be doing, hold on, here we go. So folks, last poll question. If you could just share with us what you consider your main deterrent when it comes to using in-house payroll. Sometimes it's the cost, the responsibility, sometimes it's just down to that client, or maybe you're just not sure how to incorporate it into your service model and how to bill for it. And then of course there are a few of you on the call for whom payroll is not currently a service that you offer. Lots of enthusiasm, thanks for that. We're already at 85%. So I'm going to be counting you down to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thanks everyone, I'm closing the poll now. So Andrea, the number one response, I don't provide payroll as a service, that's 42%. But 17% of folks feel that cost is an impediment. 24% feel responsibility is what's holding them back. 11% would say the biggest deterrent is the client. And 7% are just a little unsure how to include that as part of their service model.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. Again, I appreciate you sharing the results with me. I'm not sure why I can't see them, but I love hearing this. I love to know, because I like to solve problems. That's what I do for a living. I like to think of myself as a person who just loves to solve problems. So, and I know you do too. Yes, Marilyn.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're seeing your preview pane on screen, and we're happy for that because your slides are also quite large, but I just wanted to make you aware of that, okay?
Okay, thank you. So if cost is holding you back, PaymentEvolution does offer a very cost-effective solution that will save you time and money in the process. A lot of people don't want the responsibility. This was the biggest one of the ones that were selected. Responsibility is a tough one. If you are now responsible for doing payroll for your company, for your clients, then that means you have to be there and you have to be available. And I understand that. What's great about a lot of the payroll solutions that are out there, including PaymentEvolution, is they're cloud-based. So it allows you to access it anytime, anywhere. And we already know that giving that responsibility to others can lead to a lot of unnecessary work. So the next one is the client. Well, maybe the client is not loving the idea of moving into a cloud-based solution. Maybe the idea is not, the client has a difficult payroll situation. The goal is for you as the accountant or bookkeeper to teach the value that you will provide in adding this service with you. It allows you to set up processes to help them right now, and will also make for any easy onboarding for any new clients that you have in the future, that this is a part of your service pack. So while a cost-effective solution for you might not make for a simple translation into how to bill, it was only 7% that said how to bill, and I'm actually surprised by that, because we get this question all the time about how do I offer payroll as a solution, because like I said, PaymentEvolution is extremely cost effective, but we want to make sure that you bill for it in a way that's going to make the most sense to you. So let's quickly look at how we can bill. So there's a couple of different ways that you can bill for your product. So there's a solution called value billing. And value billing looks at billing for a set of features. And there's numerous programs out there that you can go and watch online on YouTube. There's tons of webinars that teach you how to value bill. And it's basically you add in sets of features and then you come up with a standard price for this service pack that you're offering. Value pricing is a little bit different. Value pricing allows you to bill specifically tailored to the client. So you would talk to your client and you would say, what's your budget? And then you've used the value billing model to say, okay, this service pack fits in their budget, or no, it doesn't. And so you remove features from the service pack and you can create a customized solution to the client. Obviously, you want to teach them the value of getting the full service pack, but it also allows you not to just post your prices on a website. It allows you to really tailor it to the specific needs of the client. You can always, of course, bill the client directly, do hourly billing. I know a lot of people still do that. And I just always recommend that if you are going to do that, please make sure to include the cost of any programs or any things that you might incur into that hourly factor. So it's not just your time for the work that you're doing, you also have to pay to use different softwares and things like that. So make sure you factor that into your hourly rate. We have increased statistics that show when clients are using PaymentEvolution for billing their clients and using the value billing or the value pricing model, they see an increase in revenue of about $1,500 per year per client. And so this is really a huge impact, because if you've got, 10 clients, that's an extra $15,000. Who doesn't want that? That's fantastic. And it really doesn't take you a lot of time to do it. So if you want to be the hero, PaymentEvolution offers you full control over your payroll. You manage clients from a single dashboard and sign-in page. And payroll is really done in 5 easy steps. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what the program looks like and how easy it is to run a payroll. So when you're in PaymentEvolution, you can start your pay run by clicking Run Payroll. You see that on the top left-hand side. You select your pay cycle, so your dates and the dates the employees are going to get paid. You approve the payroll. You see everybody's listed in green. That means they're all approved and they're going to get paid. You have a review page that allows you to review all of your employees. You can review them individually, or there's a series of reports available that you can go more in depth if you want to just look at the whole thing in a report type mode. And lastly, you finalize. You finish the pay run, and if you use our direct deposit services, money moves out of the client's bank account and the employees get paid. It really is that simple. That's it. Payroll is completed and employees are going to be paid, and employees have been sent a notification that they have a new payslip available at our Paychecker site. So I'm going to show you that real quickly and see what it looks like. Paychecker is our completely self-serve employee portal. It is easy to log on. It is available as a shortcut on any mobile device. You can get it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. You can log in. You can see on-demand pay slips as well as tax slips, T4s, T4As, RL1s are all posted there once they're created. You as the bookkeeper or your client doesn't need to print pay slips anymore. Everything is available right here to the employee. They can download their PDF, they can see a bunch of information, and they can go to any past pay slip that they've had, so they can really get all the information that they need right there directly available to them. So if you are interested in PaymentEvolution and some of the things that we've talked about today, I did wanted to tell you a little bit about us and who we are. We are Canada's most loved payroll provider. We've been around for a little over 10 years. We have approximately over 20,000 clients. We are one of the largest fund movers in the country. So we move more than $1 billion a year, and that puts us as one of the largest fund movers in the country, which is pretty amazing. And one of the things that we really are focused on here, and this might differentiate us from some other payroll providers, is our approach is motivated by innovation and teams. And so we consider an accountant or bookkeeper who joins our program a partner, and your input is valuable to us. We want to hear your feedback. We want to build a better product that's tailored to what you and your clients need. So when you work with us, you work with an account manager, and we have an amazing support team. And we really want to continue to make our product better. That is what we're all about, is making things better and how can we improve. And we really look for our leaders who are out there to help us do that. And we really care about your feedback. We do integrate with Xero into it, so both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, Sage, Cashew, FreshBooks, T-Sheets, and a few more. So, and there's a lovely picture of our team. We do some fun events here, and that was at a paint night, which was lots and lots of fun. So before I go over all our contact information, I will just mention that in addition to Payroll and Paychecker, which I've already talked about, PaymentEvolution does offer a couple of other products. So please do get in touch with us if you want to hear about any of them. We offer business payments. Business payments is a feature that connects with Xero, QuickBooks Online, and Cashew. And what it does is it allows us to, or allows you to pull any open invoices from those accounting softwares and pay them directly into the vendor's bank account. When you do this, it auto reconciles back to the accounting software. So this is a great solution when you as the accountant or bookkeeper are working within the accounting software, and the client might be as well, because one of you could log in, pay a bill, and the other one will see it in real time that it's now been paid. And so that auto reconciliation kind of guarantees that there's no question whether it was paid. There is no question that that it's double paid, because it's impossible, because it's no longer an open invoice. So again, that's available with anybody using our ePay services, so that's direct deposit services, and then connected with Xero, Cashew, or QuickBooks Online. There's no extra charge for the business payment feature, but there are some fees for the movement of the money. And if you're interested, please do contact us about fees and things like that. Lastly, PaymentEvolution provides benefits. This is huge. We are about to launch one of the first benefits quoting tools that is live for clients to log in and look at benefits for their employees. A lot of small and medium-sized businesses think that they can't compete with the large businesses when it comes to benefits that they can offer. Well, we think that is a terrible thought, and we want to change the way that people think about that, because we are in contract with a great many service providers who have allowed us to quote in live real time about benefits that small, medium-sized businesses can get for their employees. And it has been proven time and again that companies that offer benefits will attract and retain better employees. And many employees say that they would forego a higher salary if they got benefits instead. So this is a huge feature set to be able to offer to your clients. And so the quoting tools are going to be available right on their page, and they can log in and they can use it. And it really is amazing. So if you want to learn more about that, please do contact us. Our phone number is 647-776-7600. It's extension 1 for sales, and anybody would be happy to help you. You can also email us at prohelp@paymentevolution.com. And if you want to just read more about us, go to paymentevolution.com and have a look around, see what you find. If there are any questions, please let me know. And thank you again, Marilyn and Alan, for having us.
Thanks, Andrea. That was great. There have been a number of questions that I've been recording, so folks, you'll see those in your email that comes out to you within 10 days of today's session. Alan, are you on the line?
I certainly.
Then you have the comm.
There we go. Well, that's a wrap, just about a wrap, folks. I want to thank Andre and Marilyn, as usual, for backing us up and a great presentation. And to all of you, my thanks as well. As I indicated to you, there's a very short survey when you log out. And there's 2 new questions. I'm in the process of trying to find accountants and bookkeepers under the age of 40 that are excelling in what they do. I'm also trying to find the same people, but in their first 2 years of practice. And what I plan to do is do 3 articles on the first group and 3 articles on the second. And I'm looking for your help. So it's a yes or no answer to the 2 questions. If you answer yes, meaning you know someone, I will contact you privately. So I would appreciate your help. And on that note, that's a wrap.